There's never been a humble address like it, even at the height of Brexit wars, when Keir Starmer was laying these things himself to get information out of the government. It asked for all communication between Lord Mandelson and officials and ministers for his time while he was ambassador. And I can tell you, that is tens of thousands of messages, and that is messages that are going to go to Keir Starmer, they're going to have gone to West Street, all the people we're talking about. So you've got this now unexploded bomb. I am told there is a unit in the Cabinet Office that is desperately trying to scope out the scale of this challenge, and the crucial thing is it's unconditional. This is not related to the appointment. The way that the humble address is framed is they are now legally bound to give everything that Mandelson did, except on some narrow national security grounds and international relations grounds.
There's no vacancy yet, but there could be soon, and when there is, who'll throw their hats into the ring to be our next Prime Minister? Let's review the potential runners and riders with Steven Swinford, political editor of The Times. Stephen, before I get you to do that, I just want to ask you one question because of what the Prime Minister has been saying. He's now saying that Peter Mandelson, in the so-called vetting procedure, testified that he barely knew Epstein, and it follows that the government seemed to believe him. But that is, even given what was known then, that isn't credible to be able to say he barely knew. And we've seen the pictures of them in the Paris apartment, of him staying, we know, in the New York townhouse. That surely just makes it worse for the Prime Minister.
It does make it worse. And if you look at how the Prime Minister was trying to do things at his press conference, he was suggesting that they were acquaintances. And at that point in time, it was very clear they were close friends. There's some, lovely photos of Lord Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein laughing together, eating birthday cake.
Yes.
There was clear evidence across the board. There was a JP Morgan report, an internal report, which became public knowledge in 2023, which said that they had a particularly close friendship. So everyone knew they had a friendship. That was well known, and yet Keir Starmer went ahead and appointed him anyway. And that is the really striking thing that he can't get away from. He can say, Mandelson lied to me, I believed him, and that was my mistake, and I apologise for that. But the question is, why did you believe him when there was clear, hard evidence to the contrary? Lord Mandelson had a vested interest in distancing himself as much as possible for Epstein because, let's face it, he wanted to be the US ambassador. It seems incredibly credulous to take that at face value and therefore say, well, no, look, because he said that there was no connection, it's completely fine. And I've spoken to people that were involved, officials in the vetting process at the time, and they drew up this 2-page cut and paste job on everything that was known about Mandelson and Epstein from that period, which was quite extensive. But they said that they were incredulous that there were no further questions, there was no further investigation. There's a remarkable incuriosity here. And you heard at that press conference Starmer trying to blame, talking about the vetting system and the problems with that. That isn't the issue. The issue here is a sheer lack of curiosity that, okay, he's denied it. Well, should we cross-check that? Should we get the JP Morgan report? Should we contact the Department of Justice? Do we need to ask him further questions? The incuriosity is incredible. And that slightly defies belief.
I mean, when he denied he had stayed in Epstein's house, well, established, was he in New York at that time? If he was, if he didn't stay with Epstein, where did he stay? And of course, if he barely knew him, I mean, a man's in prison, but and you barely know him, but you let somebody stay in your house while you're in prison? I mean, it's all, frankly, Stephen, it's a nonsense. Anyway, let's come on. Who are the likely contenders if there becomes a vacancy in 10 Downing Street?
Well, they're pretty well rehearsed, right? We saw Angela Rayner do a very aggressive move yesterday in the Commons. She led the rebellion over this and getting a body of MPs and peers called the Intelligence and Security Committee to vet which documents are released rather than the government. That was pretty punchy stuff. She'll be in the running. Wes Streeting will obviously be in the running. We're told he already has the numbers. He has the support, particularly among those on the government payroll. So he's going to be in the running. Don't rule out, amazing when I say this, but it's true, don't rule out Ed Miliband. He's very popular with Labour members, and he's going to be a figure in the running. And then you've got others like Al Cairns, the former SAS guy. He is said to quite fancy a pop at it himself. SBS guy. So there'll be candidates from across the board. But look, it is worth doing a slight health check Keir Starmer is in real trouble. He is fighting for his political career. But I've also watched this movie before, and we all have, Andrew. And
Yes.
for stuff to start moving, you need resignations. You need people going over the top. And at the moment, the public criticism is largely limited to people on the left of the party. Privately, people are incandescent. They're really angry. But what I'm not seeing is anyone going over the top now. I'm not seeing anyone moving. I'm not seeing that kind of side of things. So it's a terrible business to make political predictions, and it's a fool's game. But my guess is that he gets through this very much wounded, very much damaged, staggers through till May, and then after May he's in real trouble. But it is very feeble and unpredictable, and I'm very happy to be proved wrong in that.
No, I understand. We're just journalists, not Mystic Meg, and I take all that on board. But are those likely contenders? Have they been quietly organising campaigns, raising some money, getting their ducks in a row? Are there signs of that happening?
That has been happening. There's been extensive stuff. Angela Rayner in particular has been doing the rubber chicken circuit, as they call it. Yeah. She's been going to kind of local constituencies, which obviously play a key role in the leadership contest for Labour. West Streeting likewise. There have been lots of dinners with MPs. The tea rooms are buzzing. Yeah, this stuff is happening. Some MPs have suggested that they would give up their staff to different leadership contenders if they're to announce that they're going. So it's all happening. But Andrew, I just wanted to draw listeners' attention to something else in this that may not have been noticed. It's actually a really big story that hasn't come out yet. So this humble address, so the Tories used an archaic parliamentary device called a humble address to get this information, the Epstein information, out of the government. But the way they framed it was incredibly broad, and it is, I'm told, historic. There's never been a humble address like it, even at the height of Brexit wars, when Keir Starmer was laying these things himself to get information out of the government. It asked for all communication between Lord Mandelson and officials and ministers for his time while he was ambassador. And I can tell you, that is tens of thousands of messages, and that is messages that are going to go to Keir Starmer, they're going to have gone to West Street, all the people we're talking about. So you've got this now unexploded bomb. I am told there is a unit in the Cabinet Office that is desperately trying to scope out the scale of this challenge, and the crucial thing is it's unconditional. This is not related to the appointment. The way that the humble address is framed is they are now legally bound to give everything that Mandelson did, except on some narrow national security grounds and international relations grounds. So there is, starting right now in Whitehall, this extraordinary, for journalists, it will be a treasure trove of information, the most intimate communications from Lord Mandelson to everyone in government. And that, I put it to you, is a bomb that's going to go off. What it also means is that we're going to have to wait months. Will Keir Starmer still be Prime Minister by the time we see all this information? That's a different question. But either way, I'll put it to you, the Epstein files are pretty big. We could be about to get our British version of that with the highest levels of government, and no one's quite clocked that yet.
That's what I was thinking as you were talking there. I mean, I've described it as a potential arsenal of smoking guns. Yeah. They could just be packed with them. Are we going to get it in one dump, or is it going to be dribbled out?
So that is what the government is in discussions about at the moment. They had a load of information about the appointment that was ready to go. So that was the Cabinet Office's due diligence report, where they flag up Mandelson's relations with Epstein and the stay in the apartment, all of that stuff. And they had Mandelson's response. This was supposed to be Starmer's big reveal yesterday. The response where Mandelson lied, as Starmer put it, allegedly, about different aspects of his relationship with Epstein. That's great, that's ready to go, that's made, a limited number of pages. But this is of a different order, and there's a discussion in government, can they do some things and not the others? But there's another complication, which is Scotland Yard has told them that evidence you wanted to release 10 minutes before Prime Minister's questions. Starmer was told by the Metropolitan Police, you can't do that. You can't put that in the public domain. So we may never, until the criminal investigation concludes, see the due diligence report or the thing that Matt Starmer says is evidence that Mandelson lied. So that may remain a secret for some time to come, and these investigations could drag on for months, if not years sometimes. So look, it's there is a two-track thing going on here. They are trying to work out what they can release in the short term, but simultaneously there are going to have to be a big group of officials getting everyone's WhatsApp messages, this longer term project that is going to take months. So it's tricky for them.
Well, it's not as if they have a country to run. Oh, hold on, they do have a country to run. I forgot. One final question. If there is a leadership contest, and I think at some stage there will be this year, we don't know, but if there is, whoever wants to win, is it right to say that they need to appeal, whoever they are, whichever part of the party they come from, the victory is in the hands of what we call the soft left of the Labour Party. Is that true?
Yes, I think they probably have broadly more numbers, but actually, is it true? I think it's going to be a really close fight. I think that Wes Streeting has a lot of support. I think that the way that the election system works would favour a candidate from the soft left because of who Labour members are, quite frankly. But either way, it's going to be a hell of a fight for the soul of the Labour Party to come.
It will indeed. Steven Swinford, thank you for joining me from Westminster there.